The African Union Commission, in collaboration with its partners, has been elaborating the Africa Climate Change Strategy, which was recently reviewed by the African Ministerial Conference on Environment, AMCEN. Obviously, issues of managing disaster risk and adaptation make a substantive component of the draft strategy document. The Commission has also been supporting the efforts of AU member states and regional economic communities in terms of enhancing their capacities in the areas of global environmental surveillance for sustainable development through our work in implementation of the Africa Monitoring of the Environment for Sustainable Development, AMEST. Over the last few years, the climate-related information management capacity of African regional and national institutions has been significantly improved. AMEST was designed to achieve 4 result areas, namely, 1, to improve the access by African users to existing basic Earth observation, field, and ancillary data. 2, to establish operational information services to improve decision-making processes. 3, to strengthen political and policy development frameworks to ensure active and sustainable participation of African governments in the global environmental surveillance initiatives. And 4, to ensure an adequate technical level of AMEST African stakeholders.
The IPCC has for more than 20 years produced authoritative, definitive, balanced, policy relevant, but policy neutral assessments of scientific knowledge about climate change and its implications. In undertaking the special report on managing the risks of extreme events and disasters to advance climate change innovation, adaptation, we've stuck with the basic IPCC agenda, goals, and methods, but we've introduced some important innovations into the process. They're innovations that I think will be very useful in the implementation, especially at the regional level. Let me mention 3 innovations in particular. The first is that this report brings together the expertise and perspective of a wider group of specialists than we've seen in any previous IPCC reports. A second important innovation in the report is that for the last several reports, the IPCC has talked about framing issues in the context of managing risks. But for the first time, this special report really started from the ground up with a focus and a centerpiece on viewing the climate change problem and the climate change adaptation problem as fundamentally an issue in managing risks. And I think that it makes it more actionable to regional scale, it makes the problem more accessible to a broad range of stakeholders, and it opens doors to being more effective with climate policy than has been the case with previous IPCC reports. A third important innovation is one that we're seeing here today. IPCC reports have historically been produced and distributed, but not really explained. And climate change is a complicated, difficult, multidimensional issue, and coming up with nuanced perspectives on it really requires the kind of dialogue that we're having here today. And I'm very pleased and proud that for the first time this IPCC report is coupled at its core with an ambitious outreach effort. But if there's a single message that emerges more clearly than any other from the science that was assessed in the special report, it's that moving forward, we need increasingly to see that climate change adaptation, sustainable development, and disaster risk reduction are all different aspects of the same fundamental problem. And until we start dealing with those aspects together, we're not going to make the progress that we need to make.
As a result of climate change, our challenge is that we will have to face more extreme weather conditions. We will have to face it more frequently, and we will have to face it in new places. Climate changes will occur and will affect Ethiopia and the neighboring countries. We expect dry areas to become drier and wet areas to become wetter. And the extent of the consequences of these events will depend on how well we prepare. Local resilience strategies are developed through ages but have to be adapted to the new conditions. The risk of extreme events should be included in planning, and development strategies, both at a local level, national level, regional level, and a global level. And it should be adapted as parts of all the policies for all the policymakers and all these levels. Avoiding global warming through reduction of greenhouse gases is, of course, what we should aim at. And I would say, coming from a country that pollutes a lot and uses a lot of energy, I would say that the countries that pollutes the most should also do the most.